dry lip.
Yeah.
Right, which is no big deal at all.
No, great.
Hey, AD.
So we're going to whip that 20 gram out, we're going to put a slightly lighter one in at the back and redistribute a little bit more weight forward. So the launch on this was great, but the spin rates are still just a fraction high, so we can flatten that down, that'll be perfect.
They're pretty good to me.
It's going to be great to me, yeah.
Do you ever look at it and go, you should have been happy with that?
No, there's always little things. And you can get into it as much as Keith wants to, but he's a proper golfer, you know. The good doesn't need to be questioned. It's just trying to get that bad shot a little bit more where he wants to see it, basically.
So I didn't see him hit a particularly bad shot out of the bunch.
No, none of them were bad. They're all on the fairway, but it's just maxing that out. So if you've got you know, that bad one he hit there at 2.7, if you now picture that on a golf course where you've got straight into wind and you're spinning it at 2.7. All of a sudden you're going, okay, that needs to look more like 2.5. So the good is very good, but we're just going to we're just going to work on creating low spin, low launch.
What are you doing with your hand?
So this is very, very hot at the moment. So this has got some glue which we are redistributing weight. So we have a back weight here, which we started off at 20 gram, which gives us maximum play. So we can move that right the way down to we have a 3 gram back weight. So we've got, if you like, 17 grams of weight, which we can then distribute around the head to make it more forgiving, to make it lower launching, to make it lower spinning. So I like the loft, but I didn't really want to look at loft too much, so we're going to try and work internally to get the spin rate down. Launch was good, so we don't want to, you get to a point where your launch becomes too low, then it's detrimental. So we're going to look at just isolating spin rates for right now.
Boy, was even more than check this ball position real quick. How'd that feel? Yeah. What was it?
2-2. Yeah, alright. But look, that's still constant.
Yeah.
Everything else is good. 307, 333. That's where you've got so much more. When it hits the deck as well, because it's not coming in. When that's 800 RPM, it's like game changer. New driver in the bag for Mr. Mitchell. Lower loft, not crazy low, but lower than his current gamer, because obviously when you're out in America and you're not on ranges like this, but you've got a fairly hefty left to right wind, you want to see a completely different ball flight. You know, everything wants to be a little bit more flighted. They're looking at kind of your carry numbers, whereas over here you can kind of disregard carry because it looks far less glamorous, but it gets there in a whole different way. So, you know, yes, I think Keith's carry numbers were down 2 or 3 yards there, but the overall was massively up. You know, and more importantly, it was the right window he wanted to see.
What is he after? Just control or distance?
Massive emphasis on control, really. Distance Keith never struggles with, but it's when you're stood here with a hard left to right wind, almost into. The last thing that Keith wanted to see was 2,800, 2,900 spin rates, which are very, very difficult then to control. His distance is a byproduct of control, because if he can see it on a much flatter flight, he's going to get a whole lot more out of it.
So what now then? So he's not going to hit a lot of drivers this week, though, is he?
You'd be surprised, especially if the wind kicks up. You know, you've got all of a sudden you've got a 400-yard hole which can turn into a 500-yard hole. You know, all you need to be is the wrong way into the wind, and all of a sudden holes play very, very long. So the emphasis on the driver is there. I mean, Keith mentioned last week that he hit 3 with 3 went into a hole. You know, and that's where the kind of alarm bells rang. He said, right, I need to look at my driver and flatten my driver out, because you know he can't afford to hit a driver 240 yards.
So Monday, that's your first like serious bit of work for the week, I guess. What now then? So you've built it.
Cheeky.
Come on.
I was busy all yesterday as well.
Play the game.
Sorry.
Wait, out on the course now?
Yes, yeah. So Keith's just teed off, or he's heading to the tee now. So I'm going to let them play the first probably 4 or 5, and then I'm going to dive out and meet 1-6, and just make sure it's on that visual window that we want to see out on the golf course.
My driver is typically high, a little bit more spin just because of my shot shape, and it's absolutely terrible in these conditions. So Matty over here decided to build me one that is exactly the same, so I can make the same swing, but the spin and the launch come down probably 4 degrees and probably 500-600 RPMs.
Yeah, somewhere closer to 8. So yeah, I mean the only similarities between this one and your current gamer was the shaft.
Shaft in the head and the
everything
grip.
else. Length, and the grip, yeah.
So it's the
Length
same grip,
change.
same shaft, same head. However, it's was different.
Yeah, so that's the similarities. Different. It's just completely different window. We went out and played a few, didn't we? And it was behaving nicely.
It is. It launches probably 7-8 degrees and it's about 2,000 RPMs. So it never really gets up in the wind. And these fairways are so firm. You want the ball on the ground and running as fast as possible. So it's the same driver except built completely different, which means it's, when I look down at it, everything's the same shaft, head, same grip. It feels like I'm hitting the same club. However, the way it reacts off the face is completely different.
A lot of people thought there wouldn't be many drivers hit this week, though. Do you disagree with that? Have you got a different game plan?
Yes, there were a few.
Yeah, we had a lot yesterday because we were testing. It all just depends on if a hole's, it's always a crosswind, but if it varies just a little bit into or a little bit down, change your club dramatically. So your whole goal is to avoid the bunkers, so I'll hit whatever club it takes to avoid the bunkers.
So what now then? So Tuesday afternoon, another game, and then again tomorrow?
We're just going to play a few holes today, kind of take a rest. We saw all 18 yesterday, so take a few holes a day, another few holes tomorrow, just trying to ease into the week. It's really easy to overdo it on these major weeks because you're so excited to be here. You want to be on the range, you want to be in the atmosphere, but you really got to be careful to conserve energy by Sunday.
Mark has actually just kind of been on board with us, so the rest of his equipment's fairly solid. So today out here we've just been working on wedge. So we've been trying to work on getting the 50-degree wedge to be a little bit closer to his pitching wedge of his set. So his perfect carry yards with his pitching wedge is 150, which is solid and that's where it should be. Whereas the 50, he was more into the 120s, so we wanted to bump that into the 30s and get up to 35. So we actually went to 48 degree instead of a 50. So he's now where he should be.
And what was going on there with driver? Was it just him practicing, or were you working on something?
Yeah, no, we're working on nothing. Just I always say to Mark, when he's working together, it's just freedom. You know, just hit some shots. See the shot you want to hit. You want to hit a fade, you want to hit a draw. See it and hit it. So yeah, it was more of a freedom thing to drive. Just getting a nice feel and getting comfortable with being out here on the range at the 150
Numbers?
So he actually maxed out there on the flat carry at 343, which is on here that was the 3rd longest of the day. So yeah, he's certainly got a lot of heat and he knows where it's going. So it's a very good combination of driver.